What is up, guys? Pine Belt Beer Reviews back here again with you today for another one, and this one that I have here today is a stout from Southern Prohibition, their Great Expanse, the Great Expanse Russian Imperial Stout, brewed with coffee. It is 7.1% ABV. They released it, I think it's like a limited release uh, this past January 2018 for a dark beer festival that was like a local dark beer festival that was going on in town. So they released this one especially for that. Found another can of it. I don't think I've had it before, um, and I want to say that they may have, or I may be thinking about another stout. I wouldn't say that they may have released this before, but I think that this is a new one from them. Again, limited for this dark beer festival specifically that was back in January. Gets a 4.06 on Untapped. Comes in a hearty 16-ounce can. So let's go ahead and pour it. I am a fan of Russian Imperial stouts quite a bit. I do really like the Russian Imperial stouts. Particularly, I think one of my favorites would have to be the, I think it's North Coast Brewing, or I think it's North Coast Brewing. Their Old Rasputin is one of my favorite Russian stouts, Imperial stouts. So this is Southern Prohibitions. They have a Baltic Porter, which is kind of like one of those stronger dark beers. It's I think it's the Ragada, which is pretty good. So let's get a look at this one, which gives us about a finger of tan, almost kind of like chocolatey looking head there. The color itself, I could already tell when I was pouring it, is just very dark, very black, almost in color. But I can get a very, very slight hint of ruby, kind of red at the very bottom of the glass, but it's mostly black. So let's go ahead and go for the aroma on this. It's been sitting in the can here, so I was trying to find any sort of information I could about it, and the only thing I could find, like I said, was that it was released in January this year and was limited. So let's go ahead and go for the aroma on it, which is, largely dark fruits, coffee, roasted malts. Fairly sweet, but not too sweet. It's almost sort of more of a bittersweet, kind of like a bittersweet chocolate kind of aroma, but a lot of coffee, a lot of dark fruit, plums, figs, raisins, kind of that sort of aroma. Maybe a little bit of like a smokiness. I think that's really kind of more of a roastiness that's going on with it. Anyway, let's go ahead and go for the flavor on this one. Good bit of coffee. Actually, fairly bitter coffee. Dark chocolate. Again, more of those kind of figs, darker fruits. Yeah, like stone fruits, that kind of thing. Good bit of roasted malt. Really, really full flavor, but it actually isn't a very long-lasting flavor. The bitterness is there's a good bittering kind of thing going on with the finish. The body is actually fairly. It's full, but it's not crazy full. It's actually a little light on the full side, but still full. Fairly fizzy carbonation, but that's about it. Just a little bit of fizz. It's fairly smooth, but there's a bit of prickly, sensation with the carbonation, a little bit of carbonation. So, and the finish is definitely dry, but it is a little sweet. There's a little bit of a little bit of again, like bittersweet chocolate to the finish. Um, a little there's a little bit of the kind of really dark, almost sort of leathery kind of quality to the flavor too. Overall, it actually is a fairly good Russian Imperial Stout. It's just going to be one of those ones that's just going to get better as it warms and more flavors start coming out. The flavors that you do get straight out of the can, straight out of the fridge, will continue to kind of grow. So definitely would recommend checking it out if you do see any that are still on the shelves, because after they're gone, they're likely just going to be gone unless they decide to bring it back for whatever reason. But the great Expanse there with the looks it's their artwork's usually very interesting. Not really sure what's going on with this one, but there's like a portrait of a man or an alien or something on that on the picture there, with the house unfortunately falling into a sinkhole, which is becoming such a problem everywhere it seems now. But definitely recommend checking it out if you see it. For me, I'll give it for a Russian Imperial Stout, definitely a solid A. Really, really great. Verging on excellent Russian Imperial Stout from SoPro. So definitely recommend you checking it out if you are able to find it. And until next time, guys, thank you for watching.